Hey y'all, it's Kate from LoveStory, and today I'm going to be talking about Their Eyes Were Watching God. So I finished this audiobook yesterday, and I gave it 4 stars, but I know I'm gonna need to go back and read the print version because this audiobook narrator was so good, and her voice was so soothing, and just like a storyteller you would have when you were a kid, that I got swept away by her voice and totally lost track of the story. But I loved this audiobook. It was so good. Zora Neale Hurston is a master storyteller. This was also a bibliotherapy book, a cure for divorce, and that's mostly because of stuff that happens throughout the book. I can't really go into a lot of details because that would give spoilers, but yeah, it's a cure for divorce of this book. According to Goodreads, our description is: fair and long-legged, independent and articulate, Janie Crawford sets out to be her own person. No mean feat for a black woman in the 30s. Janie's quest for identity takes her through 3 marriages and into a journey to her roots. And so I just loved the storytelling in this. I loved the narrator of this audiobook. Like I said, I have to go back and read the print. I'm sure it'll bump up from 4 stars to 5 stars, but I highly recommend, if you want that deep southern voice, that, storyteller voice. The audiobook was great. It was narrated by legendary Ruby Dee, who was an actress and also an activist. And this is like one of those important books that another description on Goodreads says, one of the most important and endearing books of the 20th century. Their Eyes Were Watching God brings to life a Southern love story with the wit and pathos found only in the writing of Zora Neale Hurston. Out of print for almost 30 years, due largely to the initial audience's rejection of its own strong female protagonist, Hurston's classic has, since its 1978 reissue, became perhaps the most widely read and highly acclaimed novel in the canon of African American literature. This audio is performed by the legendary Ruby Dee. So, like I said, I listened to the audiobook and I really loved it, but I got so swept away by the audiobook and the narrator that I lost track of the actual story. So I'm gonna eventually one day go back and reread this book in print format so I can see the actual story for itself instead of just rating it based on the narrator of the audiobook. But I gave it 4 stars. I'm sure when I reread it, it'll go up to 5 stars, but I was able to bring out one quote that once I finally realized I wasn't really paying attention enough, I started paying attention. That quote says, "She was too busy feeling grief to dress like grief." And if anyone's gone through grief like I have, you know exactly what this means. You're so busy grieving the person that you lost that you forget all the traditions and the norms that you're supposed to be doing as a grieving person. So that is my review for Their Eyes Were Watching God. 4 out of 5 stars for the audiobook. Fantastic. I can't wait to read it in print and just see all that Zora Neale Hurston has to offer. But that's it for now. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and let me know in the comments if you've read this book before. I know a lot of people read this book in high school and college, and so I'm interested to see what you all thought of this book when you read it. Don't forget, keep reading, and I love you all to the moon and back.